afternoon and welcome to the playoffs. We are coming to you live from the Seaport District.
Talking playoffs
in New York City, brought to you by Chase. Maria Taylor, obviously, alongside Adrian Wojnarowski. We got Jalen Rose looking spiffy, but at the gold rims for the playoffs.
Keep up with you, number 7.
And J-Will actually looks kind of decent.
That boy is clean. He got his belt matching his shoes. See, that boy clean today.
He's got a lot of love on today.
It's only because it's the playoffs, and so I'm feeling pretty good. Quadruple header coming your way right here with us. And we do have a lot of news to get to, but first we wanted to talk to you about a little bit of news with the NBA's biggest star. ESPN's Dave McMenamin reported late last night that LeBron James was found to be in violation of the NBA's health and safety protocols because his attendance at a promotional event. And Woj, obviously you were a part of this reporting. What is the latest that you could help us better understand the entire situation with?
Yeah, despite the violation of that health and safety protocol, LeBron James will not miss any games. He will not have to go into quarantine. He will be available for game 1 on Sunday. And, the league's explanation is that violations of this kind have gone on all season, and there are levels from warnings to fines to ultimately, suspensions. That this didn't rise to the level that the promotional event he went to, based on their information, there was not a risk of virus spread. Now, LeBron James has not disclosed publicly whether he has been vaccinated for the coronavirus, but there's certainly a lot of reaction around the league, other organizations, players, who of course are going to, question about a possible double standard. But the league, and maybe they expand on it further later, they're going to allow LeBron James to be available for this series against Phoenix.
Okay, well, obviously, Woj will have some of the latest reporting. You can get that on ESPN.com, and we'll keep you updated as well right here on NBA Countdown. But there's plenty more to talk about and discuss. Obviously, the Lakers and the Suns, they'll play game 1 tomorrow. But let's talk about our games here today. The first game of the day is at 2 Eastern between the Heat and the Bucks. This is a rematch of last year's conference semifinals that saw Miami win 5 games. Giannis got hurt during the series and missed game 5. Now, speaking of rematches, the Mavericks and Clippers square off once again after playing each other in last year's first round. Luka had quite the postseason debut, but LA won in 6. And then the big 3 for the Nets are finally all healthy as they enter their first playoff series against the Celtics. We got James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. They've played a total of 8 games together this season, and they've gone 6-2 when they've all been on the court. And then to wrap up the day, as the Trailblazers taking on the Nuggets, Portland will look to stop MVP finalist Nikola Jokic, who led the Nuggets outright in points, rebounds, and assists 23 times this season. That's the second most all time. So just based on this day, which of these series are you most excited to watch today, Jay?
Easy. Heat against the Bucks. The reigning back-to-back MVP going against the Miami Heat, who bounced them last year. We didn't know if Giannis was going to re-sign. He actually re-signed. And they doubled down and added Drew Holiday to go with Middleton. And now you got the Miami Heat facing them in the first round. One of these teams are going home, J-Will, after the first round. Eric Spoelstra may go home after the first round, or Brett Brown. This may be his final series coaching the Milwaukee Bucks, I believe, possibly, if they lose
Coach
in
Bud,
his first round.
most definitely for Coach Bud. I'll also say this, Miami.
Coach Budenholzer, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Coach, the Milwaukee Bucks didn't avoid the Miami Heat. They went after the Miami Heat. They could have missed the Miami Heat in the playoffs if they had rested Giannis and other guys. I'll go with this one, though, J. Rose. I'll go with the team out in L.A., the Clip Show. I mean, have we forgotten about how much pressure we used to put on the Clippers last year? Now, they dropped their last couple of games, okay, to avoid the Lakers. I don't care what anybody says. That's what it felt like. And now they're in their own region. So how you come out and how you play against Dallas, that series that went to 6 last year, playoff P. Is he going to set the tone for how we're going to view Paul George throughout the playoffs is a massive question. And Kawhi, I want to see Kawhi guard Luka Doncic. I want to see it. I don't want to see any switch-offs like we saw in Game 4 where he allowed Reggie Jackson to guard him and hit a buzzer-beating shot. I want to see Kawhi guard the best player. It's time for the Clips to show that they have a right.
And I'm going to tell you why I confused Coach Brown with Coach Bud, because they may have the same fate.
Ooh, don't do that.
Of what happened to him with the Sixers if Bud doesn't get out of this first round.
Okay, I'm going to change up the question now, and this is just the whole entire first round, Woj. What's the most interesting storyline in the first round series?
Knicks Atlanta. and a New York team
I like it.
that is playing at an extremely high level, defending as you would expect an elite Tom Thibodeau defense to defend. And watching them in this series go up against Trae Young and how much stuff they're going to throw at Trae Young, the test, for Atlanta's great young player. But a Madison Square Garden that is going to have a capacity of 15,000 people. New York is hungry to have a team back in the playoff, to have a Knicks team that is relevant. And if the Knicks win this series and they beat Atlanta and Philadelphia is there in a second round, they're not going to be an easy out for the 76ers.
Got to stop that pick and roll with Trae Young and Clint Capella. That's going to be big for them.
It's going to be a good matchup. What about you, J. Rose?
I'm going Lakers and Suns because the Phoenix Suns are a number 2 seed and nobody's picking to win the first round series. That's because they drew the Lakers, unfortunately for them. You got the reunited. You have the Banana Boat brothers reunited with LeBron James and Chris Paul, who came to Phoenix and all of a sudden validated and helped Devin Booker be more efficient and their young players to now get this opportunity. But the Phoenix Suns possibly losing in the first round after a great season, Jay, because they faced the Lakers.
I got this one being a sweep. I got two teams heading in two different directions. One team's heading for a championship, the other team potentially heading for a rebuild. The Nets versus Celtics. Let's be honest about it. There's been a lot going on with this Celtics team. If Kyrie Irving will come out with the sage and cleanse the building once again. But Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, are they going to bring it? Because they need to have elite level performances along with Jason Tatum in order for this team to have a chance to win a game or two.
Well, we know we're going to see a 50-piece dropped at least one time by Jason Tatum. And the question is, will they win that game? Is that going to happen? Either way, we're going to be able to take a look at that first game today in our quadruple header that we have coming your way.
Yes.
And the very first game is the one that Jalen's most excited to watch, the series that he'll be watching in the first round. It's going to be the Heat taking on the Bucks. Chris Middleton, how has he performed for you so far this season?
Just because he doesn't have high-flying highlights, people underestimate the fact that he's a terrific scorer, Jay. He plays at the 3, he scores mid-range, he's a creator with the dribble, and he's clutch. Chris Middleton is going to help lift the Bucks in this first round.
Led the Bucks in clutch time field goal attempts during the regular season. So yes, he is clutch. Speaking of clutch,
was you could hear disappointment in his voice because this is a guy that obviously had the kind of year that made us recalibrate, I think, where we put Steph Curry historically. That's how good he's been. It's the best offensive stretch of his career. To fight that hard, to put themselves in a position to have an opportunity to play in and not get it done. I think that's what came out to me. He just incredibly disappointed that he's not going to get more games to play. They genuinely believed if they could have gotten in, and they get a team like Utah that is just getting Donovan Mitchell back after a month off, I think Golden State believed they could give them all they can handle. So it's hard for him right now in the moment, I think, to process, Neil, that his season is over with the way that he played and as much energy as he had to exhaust down the stretch just to give his team an opportunity to win.
All right, why wasn't Curry and Golden State able to get it done, Tim?
Well, here's the thing. There's several factors in the game. I think first and foremost, you look at how Ja Morant played. Okay, so if this game is going to go to Golden State, there can't be somebody on Memphis that actually outplays Steph Curry. And I thought Ja Morant did it. He was sensational the entire game. He took and made his first three-point shot when Golden State left him open, and I thought that set the tone for his entire night because he was very reluctant the last time they played with all the space he had. He couldn't knock down perimeter shots. So the early threes helped him now gain confidence. And then he took over the game with his ability to get into the lane and get to those little push shots, those little runners in an 8 to 10 foot area. He loves to get to that area of the floor, elevate, and he's got all kinds of finishing shots in that area of the floor. His ability to take guys off the dribble, get to that spot when they needed it most to close out the game, that was the difference. That was the major difference. But also, how can you expect Memphis to shoot like that from the three-point line if you're Steve Kerr? No way do you think Memphis is going to make more threes than you are in that game, and yet they did. 15 threes for Memphis, huge ones in overtime. Grayson Allen, Tillman. You get it from unexpected role players that help you close out the deal. And then finally, the negative, Golden State was just too careless with the basketball. A lot of the turnovers you're going to see on the paper were unforced. They were careless. They didn't value the ball enough. and you have that many possessions where you take the ball out of Steph Curry's hands without even an opportunity to get a shot on that possession, it's too much to overcome some nights, and I thought that was the case in this one. But give all the credit to Memphis for gutting this out on the road. Ja Morant closing the deal, but certainly Golden State's going to watch that film and be sick about the number of careless turnovers they had.
Yeah, they had 20 against the Lakers. That cost them. They had 21 against Memphis. That cost them. The Grizzlies advance. They go to Utah, start a best of 7. How's that one play out, Tim?
Well, look, again, Donovan Mitchell just coming back throws a little bit of an X factor into this for whoever was going to play them, because he's a guy that takes a lot of shots for that team. And if he is not efficient, if he's still trying to find his legs and find his rhythm early in the series, maybe Memphis right now feeling very confident. Maybe they get a split in Utah in those first 2, and now you might have a long series on your hands. But really, to me, the difference is going to be Utah's defense. The way that Rudy Gobert can protect the rim, the way that team can switch things because they've got similar-sized players on the perimeter. They can just do things defensively that a lot of teams can't. And then the three-point shooting really was the story of the year for Utah offensively. Really a record-breaking year for them from the three-point line. They move it. They've got 4 elite-level ball screen players that like to get into gaps. They start moving around a perimeter and see if you can catch up to it. Very fun style to watch offensively. And then Donovan Mitchell's their closer if they get in tight games. But with him coming back and trying to find his way early in the series, Memphis might be able to steal a game, and that could prolong this series a little bit. But ultimately, Utah had the best record in this league for a reason. And if Mitchell's healthy and not limited physically, Utah should move on. But Memphis could make this very interesting in the early part of this series.
Tim Legler, nothing but net.